Southern Oregon Sports Talk with Matt Bagley. Talking local sports. Weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. on 96.1 580 The Game.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW here on 96.1 580 The Game. Matt Bagley here. I'm going to give away Beaver tickets near the end of the show. Stay tuned for that, and that's going to happen on our Facebook page, 96.1/580 The Game. I want to send a couple people to that Cal Poly game in Corvallis this weekend, but right now I want to look at that game, and I want to kind of glean the feeling, the perspective, and the hurt after an 0-2 start and a lot of question marks surrounding Oregon State. So I brought on Travis Johannes from buildingthedam.com. I've spoken with Travis a couple times on this show. Love his perspective. I think he's one of the more unique writers when it comes to Oregon State athletics. Beaver grad and someone like me that can be a little cynical sometimes with a team that he loves. Travis, 0-2 for Oregon State. Do you see 0-3 against Cal Poly, or is this the week they break the skid?
Oh man, I if it goes 0-3, that's gonna be ugly. I don't. Obviously, I think this is a game you absolutely have to win. 0-3 and things get real dark real quick if you lose to Cal Poly.
Right.
Though I did recently find out, I honestly had not looked into them that much. And we did our podcast on Sunday, and my co-host on our podcast, Marcus, he let me know that they run the triple option, which I had not been aware of. And honestly, that scares me a little bit just because, their run defense is not that great. So I could see them putting up a little more points than we might want.
Yeah. That's always something. Like, I'm not an expert on Cal Poly either. I can't pretend that I can tell you if they're too deep depth chart or nothing, but triple option teams, there's just something about it. Like, you have to game plan the whole off season to prepare for it. And I know Michigan, they practiced like 4 months in camp, and even they got taken to double OT. And triple option's pretty lethal.
Yeah, and it requires a lot. Like I said, just a much different scheme and a lot more discipline and patience from the defense sometimes. And I guess we're about to find out if that's something Oregon State's defense can do.
Travis Johannes, buildingthedam.com, my guest right now on Southern Oregon Sports Talk. I want to look backward with you, Travis. At the beginning of the year, you laid out some predictions for Oregon State, and some of those things might not have come to fruition yet. Some of those things have. 0-2 start for the Beavers. Let's start with what hasn't. What do you think's the biggest deviation from what you expected from Oregon State?
I expected a win over Hawaii, but I will say this: I wouldn't. If you told me before the season that they're going to lose by 3 at Hawaii, and especially if they're going to have a chance to tie it late, I would not have necessarily been surprised. I thought that was it was a winnable game, and obviously it was. But it was also a game they definitely could lose. I'm honestly trying to remember what predictions I made there. I think I had them at 3 wins, and now without that Hawaii game, I might be hedging on that a little bit. But honestly, I wouldn't say much of my perspective on this season has changed that much. They are more or less what we expected. The Hawaii loss sucked. It wasn't that big of a deal taking the loss in the sense of my outlook on the season. It's just the way they lost that was not something I saw coming. I posted our game recap of that game at like 1 a.m. or whenever that game finished, and so part of it was I was exhausted and just ready to go to bed. But the only way I could think of summing that game up was just, I think my headline was Beavers play a dumb game, lose in dumb ways, and I'm not sure there's much else to say about that game other than that was one of the dumbest games I've ever watched.
I think that pretty much summed it up. I loved that headline. Dumb loss in a dumb game. Was it the the 14 points that they gave up, or was it the punching? What inspired that?
It was the punching that was just that upset me. But also just some of it just absurd. Like, okay, going for that fake punt down in your own territory. It was like their own 34 with a tie game with like 6 minutes left. The second I saw the punter kind of, pull up and go into throw, I just thought, oh crap, oh no. That was one of those play calls where I do not understand it one bit. My thought is at that point, if you want to go for it, if you're thinking, you need to keep your offense on the field, I just line up your offense. 4th and 5. I don't like plays where you put players in situations that they're not good at. And in Daniel Rodriguez's defense, he's a punter. He's not a quarterback, so I don't know what they expected there. It's not like we have Johnny Hecker still who can actually sling it from back there.
Right.
So that one, that was. And then, like you said, the punches, the fact that our very strong offense went from 28 points in the first half to 0 in the second half. The fact that you didn't see Artavis Pierce at all in the second half when he was averaging, I think, like 11 yards. He had like 7 carries for 79 yards or something similar to that in the first half. And then the second half, you didn't get a single carry. Meanwhile, Jamar Jefferson had a really good game, but you could tell the second half he was a little gimpy. So that was one of the. I don't understand why Pierce didn't get in. There's a lot of things that I couldn't sum up any better than just that was dumb.
Yeah, that's the biggest one for me, Travis. You hit on the running back run share there. Jamar, I like the idea of giving your workhorse 30 carries a game, but when you play a team like this Hawaii team and they're going to throw every single play and they're going to have their receivers tire out your defense every single play, I kind of like the idea of giving Artavis Pierce as many carries as he can handle too. Guys getting 11 yards a pop. I saw this as a game where Oregon State could have 50 or 60 carries on the ground, and I'm kind of scratching my head why they didn't do that.
Yeah, in that second half, they just seemed to really focus in on the pass, and for whatever reason, it wasn't working. And I don't know. Wooten couldn't seem to hit receivers. We had a couple guys dropping balls. It was just, I don't understand why there seemed to be so much focus on the pass when the run game had been pretty strong, especially, like you said, mixing it in with both backs there.
Right. Travis Johannes, buildingthedam.com, my guest. I love following you on Twitter, Travis, at Travis_Johannes. You're a woodworker, which I think is really neat because my grandfather was a woodworker. So I think you have a kindred spirit there in the clouds. Travis.
I'm currently sitting in my wood shop staring at a couple nightstands I'm working on. So.
That is beautiful, man. That's awesome. So you're a Beaver grad, and we've had you on the show before. We've talked about you going to games. Are you going to go to this Cal Poly game?
Right now, I don't know. Honestly, I might. I'm not sure. It's one of those games. I have some stuff going on, work-wise and other things, so I might not be able to. And I don't. To me, it's not a game where I'm like, oh, I have to go. I have to. If it's an exciting game, I'll work the rest of my schedule around the game. This just, to me, doesn't feel like one of those games at this point. So right now, I'm not sure if I'm going to be there.
I honestly, 0-2. I know we're going to have people bite on the tickets that I'm going to give away at the end of the show, but I don't blame you. I think it's one where you got to have this team earn your trust first. Also, got to ask you about Jonathan Smith, because this is something you wrote about and something that you highlighted on Twitter this week. You predicted that the Beavs were going to get off to a rough start and fans were going to start picking on Jonathan Smith. Where do you stand on Jonathan Smith? Why do you still support Coach Smith?
I'll be honest. When that hire was made, I was on the fence, and honestly, I still am. I'm not going to sit here and say this guy's definitely the guy that's getting them out of the just kind of out of the big hole that's been dug for the program the past few years. So I'm not going to tell you I'm the hugest Jonathan Smith defender, but I feel like once that decision was made, you gotta ride with it for a little bit. I don't think any coach is going to come in here and turn this thing around, at the snap of a finger. So I don't understand. I think it would be just stupid to make any rash decisions at this point. It's a multi-year rebuilding project. There are a lot of things that I've liked from Smith. I mean, you just can take a look at some of the offensive things that even last year, the offense was pretty strong, and it was more or less the same offense they had the year before that was near the bottom of the country. So there are some things I like about Smith. I do worry about some of the in-game decision-making. There's been a handful of those over the past 2 years where I just kind of scratched my head and went, what are we doing there? So while honestly I'm still on the fence about the guy as far as a head coach, I would love for him to be the one to be able to turn around, because it would be an awesome story, former walk-on quarterback coming in, saving the program. But I'm also not willing to say he's not the guy. I think you just kind of have to wait a few years before you make any of those kind of decisions, because he walked into a pretty crappy situation. So,
Right. It's still a wait and see as Jonathan Smith cleans up the mess Gary Anderson left behind. That's the perspective from Travis Johannes, buildingthedam.com. Travis, I love how you write about these Beavs. Love your perspective on this team. For somebody that might be listening right now and they've never heard of Building the Dam, but they're interested, they want to read more, tell them about what you do and the writing that you have cooked up coming up.
So I am one of the editors. But as far as what we have cooked up, I guess I should say I also run the Twitter account for Building the Dam there. So if it's a really dumb tweet, that's probably my fault.
No, that's good. That means I can put a face to a name whenever I see you guys slam Andrew Nemec.
For the most part, it's typically me. As far as what we have coming up, right now it's basically just our sort of our general kind of game week stuff. We'll have some previews as far as Cal Poly. We'll have we've been posting a little bit about some of the soccer teams going on. The women are off to a pretty good start, so I think we had something up today about that. You want to kind of follow up on what some of the Beavers in the NFL are doing. We had a post on that today. We typically try to get at least one podcast a week. Sometimes we're able to get two. Sometimes we'll do sort of a preview podcast and then like a next day sort of reaction podcast. I'm not sure what our schedule is on that as far as that goes this week, but I'm sure we'll have at least one of those up. Definitely a kind of a follow-up podcast, likely on Sunday. And then, we typically have, right after the game, a sort of instant recap, which I like kind of doing those because I just sort of more or less ramble about my thoughts on the game. And then I think that's about it. Last week I was able to sort of debut I guess I'd say sort of an editorial, where just some random thoughts and musings about the game and then the week ahead. So that usually comes out on. I think we're going to try to get that out on Wednesday.
All right.
So
Pretty interesting schedule up ahead. BuildingTheDam.com, at BuildingTheDam on Twitter. Travis Johannes, the man behind that handle. Also read him at Travis_Johannes on Twitter. And check out his great work there, BuildingTheDam.com. Travis, love having you on. Hopefully your Beavs get a win this week. And let's do this again sometime.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
All right, that was Travis Johannes, BuildingTheDam.com. Food for thought. I want you to go to the Oregon State Beaver game this weekend, and I want the Beavers to dominate this weekend. I'm going to give away tickets at the end of the show, but next, I want to talk about how this team can dominate. There's a fix they can make. There is a team I believe the Beavs can emulate, copy, learn from, and win from. I'll tell you that team next, right here. Southern Oregon Sports Talk, presented by Medford BMW on 96.1 580, The Game.